On October 24th of 2022, a 19-year-old man went to his old high school after planning to do something very heinous for 2 months straight. What would take place inside of that school can only be described as pure evil. This is the sickening case of Orlando Harris. Hello, friend, and welcome to High Time Crime. My name's Joel, and on here I specialize in true crime and also stocks. You have to diversify your portfolio. You cannot put all of your eggs inside of one basket. You need the S&P 500, a Roth IRA. Friend, you need a high-interest savings account. But anyway, today we're going over a not-so-talked-about case involving a teenager who had some severe problems and what would take place after a devious plan was put into motion. This story takes place in St. Louis, Missouri. With a population of about 300,000 people or so, it's considered to be a nice place to live. There was a family that lived in St. Louis called the Harrises. Orlando Deshaun Harris was born sometime in May of 2003 to, I believe, his mother Tanya. I'm not sure about who his father was. Orlando had one younger brother and two sisters that were older than him. One was by a year and the other was by about 8 to 9. Now, the information for who Orlando was is very scarce. Practically nothing is stated about him. I know in middle school, Orlando was said to be a very sweet boy and a good drummer, but throughout the years, he seemed to have become very lonesome and depressed. Not only that, but he started to really harbor thoughts that were not good, and his mother and siblings noticed this. So his mother took him to seek mental health treatments multiple times. A few times he was even committed. I'll talk about that a little later. But Orlando's mother would check his mail and room pretty frequently and monitor what Orlando was up to for the most part, because his energy and presence began to scare the entire family, especially his brother, which I'll also talk about that later. Orlando had a ton of issues, and what these issues are or stemmed from isn't exactly stated, just that he had them. In high school, it was stated that Orlando didn't really talk to many people and seemed very relaxed. And me, when I'm relaxed and just kind of hanging around, I love to bust out my phone and open up today's sponsor, the app, Lots of Slots. There are over 150 slots to choose from, and every single week a new slot is added. This is the perfect game to play literally anywhere. I could play Space Battle, a free pinball game on my couch with my cat and earn some free coins. Or I could be making some food while at the same time playing Rescue the Fish, where I have to save stranded fish by matching cards together to open the pipes. If you are like me and enjoy the world of gambling but hate spending money to do so, Lots of Slots is the perfect solution for you. You can easily download Lots of Slots using the download link in my description or using the QR code to get a ton of coins for free to get started. With over 150 thrilling slots to choose from, I've already found my favorites. I really enjoyed playing Cluck Luck because I thought the name was funny, and I have a lot of appreciation for the graphics. Currently, there is an exhilarating Halloween event going on inside of the game, and also on the Lots of Slots official Facebook page. For a chance to win $100 worth of perks package, don't miss this awesome opportunity. Join the Lots of Slots Hello Win Party on their Facebook page. You can easily download Lots of Slots by using the download link in my description, or scan the QR code to get not only the 20 million free coins as a new player, but because you're a part of my great audience, you'll receive 40 million free coins. Thank you to Lots of Slots. Orlando had just graduated the year prior in 2021, and basically since the time that he graduated, things would get worse for him. He had some sort of job working 20 hours a week or so, and he would take his older sister's car to work. Meanwhile, at home, he began to plan. And let me explain what exactly would take place. 2 months before October 24th of 2022, on August 24th of 2022, Orlando decided on something, and so he began to write. I'm now going to read to you all of his writing, and we'll go from there. August 24th of 2022. Today is the day I've decided to be the next mass shooter of 2022. I will execute my plan on Monday, October 24th of 2022. My target is Central VPA High School. My weapon of choice is the good old-fashioned, classic, all-American AR-15. My goal is to kill 30 people minimum, then commit after or die in a shoot-off with police. I am fully aware under federal law I'm not allowed to purchase or own a gun, which is why I'm going to wait till October to get my gun. I'm either going to trick somebody into buying me a gun or buy a gun myself online off arms list. 60 days till showtime. Here, he made a checklist, which over time, he would get everything. 6 days later, on August 30th of 2022, Orlando wrote again. Shooting rampage targets. Main building. Everybody in dance studio. Annex. 54 days till the fireworks go off. Also on August 30th, Orlando printed out the floor plans of Central VPA. He also wrote on these floor plans. He wrote where everything would be. If we flip this upside down, it says entrance gate and stairwell to second floor. It also states annex entrance. On the second printed floor plan, Orlando circled the dance studio and originally wrote final target, but then crossed out final and wrote first. On September 1st of 2022, Orlando wrote again. Drove past Central today. Just looking at that damn school made me want to walk in and kill people, but unfortunately, I have to wait. I'm just so ready to terrorize these kids. 52 days left. Throughout my life, I've had over 14 different psychiatrists diagnose me with a mental illness. All those psychiatrists. There's nothing wrong with me, bitch. Orlando then writes all of their names with the F word before it, and then he said, fuck all these stupid-ass psychiatrists and every other psychiatrist who tried to say something is wrong with me. I hope each and every one of these motherfuckers has a long, torturous death. 22 days later, Orlando would write again, and that was September 23rd of 2022. Been stuck in this whole house for 2 weeks. Homicidal thoughts stronger than ever. Ready to make these kids at Central suffer. 31 days till I get my revenge. The next day, on September 24th of 2022, Orlando wrote again and he said, I wake up in the morning and I got murder on my mind. AK-47, Mac 11, Glocks, and 9s. 30 days. See you in hell. Now those were actually lyrics to a song from a guy named YNW Melly, who's actually locked up right now and facing charges for a double homicide. The song's name is Murder on My Mind, by the way. About a week or so later, on October 2nd of 2022, Orlando wrote thoughts stronger than ever. Homicidal thoughts stronger than ever. I'm slowly becoming less and less attached from reality. I don't care about myself. I don't care about anyone or anything in this world. You all. 22 days, assholes. 6 days later, on October 8th of 2022, Orlando wrote again, and this day he wrote a lot. Went to the St. Charles gun show today. Tried to buy an AR, but unsurprisingly, was denied. I was not shocked I got denied at all. I've known for over a year under federal law I can't buy a gun due to me being involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital twice. Created an arms list account, going to meet somebody next week to get my AR. 16 days left. This day, Orlando also printed out one of his psychiatrist sheets, and he wrote all over it, and I'm going to read all of that for you because it really gives a good look into not only his perspective, but the perspective of the psychiatrist and also what Orlando was dealing with. He printed it at about 11:17 p.m., and it starts off by saying 1. Zoloft 50 milligram liquid. So this is obviously what he takes, and it says increase to 75 milligrams. I discussed R/B/SEs of meds, including the option of no meds. We also discussed his diagnosis. He provided informed consent. 2. Risperdal 0.5 milligrams nightly for adjunct treatment. 3. SWR to help with dispo. 4. MedConsult Rex Aprec. I'm not too sure. I don't know if Orlando crossed everything out and highlighted them, but somebody did. So in the highlighted section on the first part, it goes, he said he wanted to die, and he said he hates his family, and that life isn't worth living. A little bit further down, it reads, since he is refusing care, not engaged, isolating, and still actively suicidal, I will submit a 96-hour involuntary. That's highlighted. He may be a candidate for etc. My suspicions that he is psychotic are increasing due to isolative behavior, his poverty of speech, and his level of guardedness. Wants to die, not H, no psychosis. Mood, depressed. Affect, blunted and mood congruent. Insight, poor. Judgment, fair. Sensorium, alert, awake, and oriented, ×3. The next part's a little bit marked off, but we can see that it says current severe episode of major depressive disorder without something. Assessment plan, current severe episode of major depression disorder. I think it says the same thing. Assessment and plan. Orlando has had low mood, loss of interest, and suicidal ideation progressively worsening over the last several months. He planned to kill himself on July 26 by stabbing himself. He points to the feeling that he doesn't know what his purpose is, as a trigger for wanting to end his life. He gave me permission to speak with his mother. He is very depressed and apathetic. He can't explain any details to his feelings. What he is experiencing is completely different from what his mother has observed. He refused Risperdal. The next part's really marked off, but it does say, thoughts and behaviors have not changed. He reports that he has not taken the fluoxetine or Prozac and says that he does not want to take an antidepressant because he does not have depression. We discussed how it had been helpful to him during his December psychiatric admission, and patient mentioned that he only took it for 6 days and knew he had to get out of bed and interact with others to get out of the hospital, so he pretended to be better to get discharged. Orlando wrote on the side of this, smartest shit I ever did, pretending to get better so I can get out of that hospital. So easy to lie to people. Dumb hospital staff, idiots. On the page after that, or potentially this could be the absolute first page, Orlando wrote a list of mass killers and the amount of people that they killed. It goes in numerical order from the most people killed, and it seems as if he really started to admire these people. 4 days later, though, on October 12th of 2022, Orlando would write in his journal again. He said, I have secured my AR-15 via a private seller. Holding this AR feels right, as if I was born to kill. Holding this AR makes me feel like a god. I've never felt so in control in my life. I've never felt so much power in the palm of my hands. 12 days till I fulfill my destiny. He then continued on the next page and wrote, every time I went to the psychiatric hospital, I would lie to the psychiatrist and nurses and tell them I was feeling better so I could get discharged as fast as possible. And those dumbasses believed me. What a bunch of idiots. I literally told 2 psychiatrists I was planning on shooting up my old high school. So clearly, thus far, we can tell that Orlando was absolutely losing it. We also have a pretty good look at what he was taking, prescribed by a psychiatrist. aka Prozac, and the games that he was playing. Orlando was manipulative and calculated in this entire ordeal. He knew he couldn't buy a gun while at the gun show because his background check came back with issues. So he finds somebody on a website called Arms List and buys it off of that person. It's not known whether or not Orlando went to meet up with him or not. His mother thinks that the guy met him at their house. But on that day though, or October 12th of 2022, Orlando bought the AR-15. Not only this, but he bought a couple of other things, and they came in on the 15th of October. And his little brother ended up finding the gun after he saw a box full of magazines at, I believe, the front door and looked it up. Then he frantically called their mother. The police were called by Orlando's mother, and we actually have that footage to play for you. Inside of this body camera video, you're going to hear and learn about a lot of things, and you get to see a little glimpse of how Orlando was and acted. So after looking around for a bit to find Orlando, one of the officers finds him in his car, which I believe was his sister's.
Yeah, he's getting ready to leave. You just have to roll the window down. That's it. You Orlando? Can I talk to you for just a minute? You don't have to get out.
You're not in trouble or nothing.
Yeah. You don't have any weapons on you, do you? All right. You want to get out? Yeah, that's fine. Make sure your window's up. You saw us knocking, man. You didn't want to come out and say nothing? You're good, dude.
You're good, man. We're not worried about
Listen. You're 19, right? What's going on with mom? You want to sit down on the porch over here? Do you want to lean up a car? I'm trying to talk to you before your mom gets here. I want to know what's going on, but I want to talk to you first. So what's going on today, man? You're not in trouble.
Yeah, you're not going to jail.
I'm curious. Why is your mom calling us? Why is your mom freaking out? Because to my knowledge, you've never been in trouble before, right? Like you've never gone to jail, nothing like that.
No, I've been
exactly.
Here before, and last time I was here, you were super chill.
It's very interesting that Orlando had the police called to their house a few times prior, and that the other officer was the one who went. I'm curious how those experiences went and the reasoning behind the calls.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you before she gets here because she's going to be all hooting and hollering probably, and I want to talk to you
like while you're calm.
While you're calm, and it's just us to be able to sit down and talk. So.
Like I said, man, you're not in trouble. We're here to help you. We're not here to mess with you or nothing like that, all right? So is your mom freaking out over something you did or said or what?
I purchased it.
Okay.
When'd you buy it? This past week?
What kind? Did you get a custom one or did you buy one that's already made? Already made out?
Bought one? Okay.
All right.
No, I bought it from a private seller and she doesn't like
Guns.
She's not a big firearm kind of person. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to have that. You're 19, right? Yeah, you're good. The only problem it sounds like we got here is mom's freaking out because she doesn't like guns, right?
So you just got off work today and came home and that's when you found out?
Home and I realized somebody was inside my room and I looked in.
And she
put it in a box.
She took your stuff.
Yeah.
And she found it in the box, I guess. She originally wanted us to confiscate it, but I'll let you iron out. You're a legal American. I mean, we
and you're older than 18, so I mean, we can't take it from you.
Take it from you.
Now, if she doesn't want it in the house, she might throw it away, but I mean, we can't take it from you. Like there's nothing we can do as police officers with that.
Yeah,
if you want to own a firearm, you're an American, you're over 18, you're allowed to have a firearm if you want a firearm. But so is there anything else that's going on like between you and your mom that she'd be freaking out like this? Because she called us like 900 times. She's getting mad because we got other calls and it's just us working right now. Like, okay.
No.
So I just
How are you doing?
She would find it.
Oh, okay. So
how are you doing besides all that? Agitated that she found it? So here's another question I have for you. Has this been like an ongoing thing where like you'll like want something or try to get something and then mom's all of a sudden she's freaking out, police are coming over, whatever it may be?
No, this is the first time.
Okay.
Like this level.
And this is going to be a little bit of a personal question, but I'm just asking, you don't take any sort of medications or anything like that, do you?
For anything.
For just
Disorder or
anything. Health problem. If you have like a
cholesterol, high blood
health,
pressure.
Thyroid problem. I take
Oh,
thyroid.
you have
All right.
Okay.
All right. So do me a favor. We're gonna talk to her. Just try to be relaxed as you possibly can.
Yeah, you
okay.
mind just sitting here chilling while we talk to her real quick?
All
Okay.
right.
I
Sounds
appreciate
good.
it, man.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
An interesting thing to note here is that Orlando had some sort of thyroid issue, but he didn't mention the medicine he was taking for his mental issues. Orlando's mother and sister would arrive at their home, and things are about to get even more interesting.
Hello. Sorry. So what's going on besides what we were able to read on the call notes that you were able to give us?
Well, I got a call from his brother saying that a package just came, and he looked the packages up online and saw they were from a gun manufacturer.
Okay.
So he texted me, and he called. That's his sister.
Okay.
We intercepted the package,
Okay.
and me and him had went to the store early, and he came home. Like I said, we came home. We was putting his groceries in, and then all of a sudden, it was some paper towels and toilet paper stacked up. He kicked them, and he was like, "See, that's why I didn't want to go to the store. My package came. UPS and my package came." And I tried to play it off because I already knew what it was. Well, I did not know what it, but I knew packages came from these places. So, and I'm like, well, Orlando, look around. People steal packages over here. Try to play it off. And in the process, I was still calling the non-emergency number. His brother had texted, put the package downstairs in my daughter's room. The rest of us are upstairs.
She's in the basement right here?
Yeah, this one right here. My oldest daughter. She's in the basement, so we put it down in her room. So when I came home, of course, I never went down to touch it or anything, but when she came home from work, she was like, I need to see what it is. And that's when she opened it. And like I said, I don't know nothing about guns. I don't know nothing about magazines, vests. I don't know nothing.
Right.
She's like, I'm finna go search his room. And that's when we found the rifle.
Okay.
So, and I've been on the phone with BJC, psych, mental health.
What is he? Because I've been here before.
Okay.
What does he suffer from again?
Depression. He tried to commit suicide 3 times.
When did this happen?
The first one was last year around August. And I don't know if he left a note at his job, but somebody from the job had called.
Called to warn you?
Yeah. But I was at work, and they came out to the house.
Oh, okay.
And then the second time, it was, I want to say, you said it was like November? And I can't remember what he did to attempt to do that. But the last time, which was between April and June of this year, he drunk some antifreeze.
So the one time was antifreeze. What were the other 2 times?
The first time he had a knife in his room.
And like I said, somebody from his job had called.
So he was like threatening to use the knife, basically.
Yeah, kill himself. He was gonna kill himself that night.
And the second time, I can't remember what.
Do you remember?
No, I think he just said he needed to go to the house.
That time? Okay.
Yeah, he just needs go to the
So
hospital.
knife, verbiage, and then antifreeze.
Yes.
Okay. Has he ever said anything about hurting other people?
No.
So he would never, would you believe he would ever lay a finger on any of you?
I don't think so, but
But
what
like-
I've seen today.
But like
Today, we
outside of
just
just
don't
being
know.
like,
We don't know.
What happened today that
set him
besides
off?
the kick in
The fact that his package was missing?
The packages, he thought that they didn't come. Well, like I said, he got the email, I guess, from UPS saying they came.
Yeah,
But
it'll
we
email you saying when it's
Right,
delivered.
we intercepted it.
The thing is maybe because it's 20. The box is 20 magazines. That's a lot for 20 magazines. I work with juvenile. I work for the state of Missouri myself. I work with juvenile. Like this is.
Right.
I deal with criminals every day. That's why I was there earlier. I left from work at 4 o'clock and came immediately home. I work with juveniles for a
Is
living.
everybody in the house over the age of 18?
No, he has a younger brother that's 16.
Is that the one that brought the package in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and how old is he? 16? Okay.
is he on medication?
He was taking medication, but I don't know if he stopped taking the medication.
What's the medication for the depression?
The depression and
So
whatever
it's
else he's going through.
antidepressants.
Like I said, I only know so much because of his age. They're not gonna give me all the information.
Oh, because
Well,
he's above the age 18. You
Right.
can't-
I
Okay.
can't get a lot
Yeah.
of information.
Especially if it doesn't mark you down as to be allowed to be told.
Yeah,
I'm 31 and I still mark my mother down as if something happens to me, you tell her everything that's going on, just in case. Is there documentation that like says that he's not legally allowed to have a firearm? Because I mean that's
That's the big problem.
That's the big problem that we have is that if there's not something that a judge is like, he's mentally unstable and he can't have firearms, or he's been to big boy jail and
Like,
is
he has
a felon,
if he's
18 and up.
Here, he doesn't really have a record.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't have a record.
Exactly.
But
So
he
18,
can't have a gun in my house.
which is fine, but that's where our problem comes into play.
He can
If he's
legally
not
have it.
a felon and there's nothing that a judge says he's not mentally safe, like capable to have firearms or things like that, we personally can't take it.
This is crazy.
And I understand your guys' concern and frustration. I understand why you don't want it in the house. Trust me, I get it. There's nothing. Those are the two things that allow us to take it. It's no different than like, I think that car's stolen. Can you tow it? I can't tow it unless it actually comes back stolen. Same with him. Unless he has a court order saying that he's mentally unfit to carry a firearm, or if he's a convicted felon, it's the only ways we can take it from him. Or if he
What
used
do
it
you
in
guys
crime.
think from talking to him?
So if he robbed somebody or
pretty much
stole from a
everything.
store using a firearm, then we can take it. Or if he shot at somebody.
I was like,
Why so many magazines? Like, that's just absurd to me.
so that might depend on the seller, because I know that when I purchased mine a couple of years back, the seller sent me like a bunch of them, and I'm like, I don't need all these.
And there's also like they'll do deals where if you buy a firearm, it comes with two, but you can buy more for like half the price or something.
Yeah.
There's 20 in that box. Like, that's absurd.
So I know, and that's what I mean. Like,
Because he had a vest. I understand what you're saying.
106.
He bought this purposely. He had a vest.
and I agree with what you're saying, but the problem is that I need more than what we have been told so far to say that yes, you've purposely bought this gun because you're going to do
Technically,
something.
at his age, I had all those things too.
I did too.
Now, was I diagnosed with depression or anything? No. Is there any like developmental, like Asperger's or learning disability or dyslexia, anything that could like
No.
hinder his ability to learn? Nothing. Just the emotional side, so like depression, bipolar, that stuff like that.
Yes, I guess you could
So-
say suicide.
What we would probably need to happen then, for us, if this were to happen down the road, for us to be like, yeah, no, we'll take the gun, is you would need to have a power of attorney over him. Means that he unfortunately has to live with you for the rest of the time that you have power of attorney, which is basically the rest of both of your lives. Is there someone that you know that would be willing to hold on to this for a while until you're able to go upon it? Because I know tomorrow's Sunday.
I'm calling a friend that has a license
Okay.
to carry. Well, I'm trying to see if he in St. Louis because he kind of travels a lot.
Okay. All right. Were you able to get in touch with the friend?
I'm texting him now.
Okay. All right. Well, we will talk to him and reiterate. And I'm gonna let him know too that the firearm's gonna stay in your possession. That it's your house, your rules. So, okay. And then just try to figure out friend-wise. I mean, he from all he told me and from what it sounds like he told them is that he's just mad because he wants the gun. And since the gun was not where he wanted it for his interest, even though he did go against your rule, it's what agitated him and made him mad. But it sounded like he was just frustrated because he was just been sitting here talking to us the whole time. Since
Yeah, like
people
we were
died.
actually sitting there waiting, knocking on the door, waiting for somebody to come answer for the longest time, and then we turned around and he was sitting in the car like, oh.
So after that few bits of clips, a lot gets revealed. The fact that Orlando bought not only the rifle, but 20 extra magazines and a vest. Plus, his mother states that nothing was wrong with him developmentally, only that he had mental issues. Orlando's mother and sister were clearly very afraid of his intentions, but the police had their hands a bit tied because of Missouri's gun laws. We also get a look at to how many times Orlando tried to take himself out and just a few other interesting things. So the police finish talking to Orlando's mother and go to talk to him. and he's going to react pretty badly here.
You're not in trouble or nothing. You didn't do nothing wrong. All right? You're 19 years old. The only thing that would be considered in the wrong, it's not like a law in the wrong, it's mom law in the wrong. Mom doesn't want firearms in the house. If you wanted it, you should have just asked her. I know,
Like friend or nothing.
You don't got
Spent my money, man.
Hold on.
I get it.
Oh, yeah, don't be doing all that.
So like, if say you find a range where you can practice, where they have locks. Some of them have lockers where you can lock it up there, and then use it when you go there. You can look into that. A buddy's house, I had to do that for a while in the military. There's also P.O. box or storage. Like if you get a storage unit, like one of those itty bitty ones, not like the ones where you can put a whole ass car in it, but like the smaller ones at those places. Look into that, because those tiny ones, super cheap to rent out. You just put it all there.
Another
and
question.
Like, when you want to work on stuff, just go to the storage unit.
The place that you got it from, would you be able to do they have a return policy?
To get like your money back.
I know, but some private sellers still have return policies like on their website.
Look into that too in case. But otherwise, try a storage unit or something. If you have nowhere else you can put it, or if like you can't find a range that can store it.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, she doesn't want it in her house. But we can't take it. We can't do that. We can't do that. Because what happens if someone breaks in your car, now your gun's gone and stolen, right?
Yeah.
And now someone's out in the street using your gun that you just bought, and what if they kill somebody? That's not safe.
So where is that?
I'm not telling you where that's at.
I honestly don't know. I was talking to your sister. I have no idea where it's at.
You could take it up to a firearms place.
No,
I worked so hard for that.
No,
I spent
I
my
get it.
hard-earned money on that. It's not hers, it's mine.
You still live in her house. See, listen, like,
That's another thing.
I moved out at
your own
18.
apartment.
If you want things like that, and you want to have those kinds of things, you have to move out.
That's why most kids move out. They don't want to live by parents' rules anymore. That's just
Been planning on moving out.
Hmm?
you are planning on moving out?
Yes. Can I just get it back?
We can't do that.
He has pains in face,
We can't do all that.
But we can't. But like, so say again, like
That's
say
going to have to be a peaceful, calm conversation between you and your mom. And
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to tell you right now.
I don't even want to look at her.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you she's going to tell you no. She doesn't want it in the house.
I'm going to bring this back up here shortly, them mentioning where Orlando should take his gun because it comes into play again. The officer goes back to talk to his mother after this, and then Orlando's mother goes to talk to him.
Well, if he's going to be aggressive tonight, then he can't stay here.
I can't force him out.
No, what I'm saying is he needs to call and get himself checked in. Orlando, if you going I'm going to try to say my distance because I'm
228.
If you come in this house tonight and you are aggressive, I'm going to call whoever because you can't stay here tonight. You're not getting the gun. You know you're not supposed to have firearms in my house. You can't smoke in my house. Then you need to go and find some. Where are you going tonight? Because you're not going to take no nigga car. You got somewhere to sleep tonight?
I'm going home.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Bother nobody. I don't want to talk to y'all right now.
Okay, but they're not safe. They're afraid. They're afraid of what's going to happen.
I don't have bullets or anything.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. Your sister and your brother are afraid to be in the house with you because of what you have. You know you don't talk to. You know you don't talk to.
Heard a caller.
Very afraid of what'll happen because of the anger issue you and him have, and you're displaying it right now.
That's clear, Cody.
Angry. I already said you're not gonna be able to drive her car anymore. So how are you gonna get to work in the morning? Okay, but my whole thing is, how long is this gonna last? Is this gonna last for the night or is this gonna last for the rest of the day? I work overnight. He works nights. You're gonna be in the house with by yourself. I'm trying to prevent you from bringing harm to your sister and brother, where you won't wind up in the mental hospital. You wind up in jail. And I'm also looking out for you to make sure you don't do nothing to yourself because you're upset because we intervened and took something from you. You know you're not supposed to have no gun in my house. You can't smoke, drink, have no guns in my house I'm just confused. You need help. You know you're not supposed to have guns. You know you have mental issues. You know you're not supposed to have a gun. So why would you buy a gun to bring in this house? I'm looking out for your safety, my safety, everybody's safety. It's not coming back in my house. You had no business buying it.
Now, what Orlando's mother said here is very true. All of Orlando's siblings were afraid to be near him, especially his little brother. I'm not sure who this went to or when it was written, but Orlando's little brother wrote this note or letter, and it's very telling. If I was killed, know that Orlando D. Harris did this to me. I told somebody, but she was an idiot, saying it was safe living with a depression killer f***er. Hand him and her the book. Idiots deserve jail time. Somebody also let me die, and I ran away, but she convinced me to come back. Don't let me die in cold blood. Fight for me. I want to say I told somebody he wasn't okay over the years. I'm not too sure what some of this says, but it says whatever year he, I believe, maybe hurt me, and nobody wanted to listen to me. I'm so pissed even though I'm dead. All they had to do was kick that crazy N-word to the curb. Arrest all their... I find what his little brother said to be very interesting. I'm not too sure who he's referencing here, but probably Orlando's mother maybe, or maybe someone else, but just very interesting. Now, going back to the body camera footage. From here, the police go back to talk to Orlando's mother and older sister. This is the last part of the body camera footage, and a telling one.
He knew it was coming. He didn't want to leave the house, but he left the house because he had to take her to the store early. When he came home, the package was gone. My brother called me. My youngest brother called me, freaking out about it. Said he looked it up and it was a gun website. So I looked it up. I'm like, this is a gun website. It is. It's a red flag to me. And then I come home, I open the box up. It's 20 magnums in there. Like, what? Why do you have all these things in there? And they said, like, 20 of these. And then you got a vest in here. I watch the news. And I work with juveniles, like I said. I've seen too much and I heard too much.
I work at the post office. I understand.
But,
No,
that gets a whole new meaning to going postal.
right.
A whole new meaning to going postal. Little did this officer know how prophetic his statement would be. A bit of a weird one to make as well. Just not the right situation. Now, after this happened, it was said that Orlando's mother sent the gun to be with a family friend or someone else. I don't think that that's the case, though if you read a lot of the newspaper articles, that's what they say. I believe that Orlando took the advice of the police officers and rented a storage unit at an extra space storage located in Shrewsbury. Orlando rented a small unit there, and security footage captured him going to the facility a few days after he rented it to get something. That footage was never released. This all makes me very curious though, because his mother was incredibly adamant on him not having the gun. So why would she give it back to him to take to a storage unit if that's the case? Or how did he get it back? Also, the same thing goes with the magazines and the vest. It also makes you wonder, when and where did Orlando get ammunition from? Because you're gonna find out here soon, he had a lot. Going back to Orlando's writings, they start up again on October 17th of 2022. And Orlando wrote 7 days. The next day, on October 18th, he wrote 6 days, and also, suicide ideation has plagued me for the past 10 years. For me, death is the only option. There is no other way. But before I die, I'm taking as many people with me as possible. A day later, on October 19th, Orlando wrote 5 days, and I don't suffer from major depressive disorder. I'm not bipolar. I don't suffer from antisocial personality disorder. I don't suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. I'm not part of the autism spectrum. I don't have an adjustment disorder. I don't have anhedonia. I'm not paranoid. Originally, Orlando wrote, I don't suffer from social anxiety / selective mutism. And then he wrote to himself, "Yes, you do, dumb. You never talk." And then he kind of crossed it out. Any psychiatrist who has diagnosed or suspected me of suffering with one of these disorders is a retard, because I'm perfectly normal. It is completely normal for somebody to want to kill themselves or kill other people. Mental illness does not exist. On October 20th, Orlando continued his writing and wrote, "No regrets, no remorse, no sympathy, no mercy. I'm not sorry for what I did. Everybody I killed deserved to die." 4 days. The next day, on October 21st, Orlando wrote again, saying, I believe 1,000,000,000% positive everybody who has met me at some point in their life is not going to be surprised that me, of all people, would become a mass murderer. When I was in high school, people would say I looked like a school shooter, or I was going to shoot up the school. And what do you know, years later, that those quote-unquote jokes that people would make about me would actually come true. 3 days. On October 22nd, Orlando wrote 2 days. The day before, on October 23rd, Orlando continued his streak of writing with, "I have successfully managed to hide my plan of a mass shooting. Nobody knows I have an AR, 600 rounds of ammo, 20-30 round magazines, and tactical gear. Nobody knows that I've spent the past 60 days planning and preparing for this massacre. That's what happens when you're basically invisible. Nobody notices anything you do. One day. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family. I've never had a girlfriend. I've never had a social life. Nobody has ever loved or cared about me, which is all I've ever wanted in life." Then he circled that. "I've been an isolated loner my entire life. This was the perfect storm for a mass shooter. Before I go to Central tomorrow, I'm going to kill the people who live inside my house. I want each of them to have a long, slow, painful, and torturous death, which is why I'm going to set my house on fire so they can all burn to death." The next day would be Monday, October 24th of 2022, the day of Orlando's plan. He wrote, "Today, bye." On the next page, Orlando wrote some more, and it's a bit hateful, so I'm not going to really read that part. But Orlando does say, "Based on the research I did about STLPD or St. Louis Police Department and their patrol routes, I would say I have approximately 5 minutes until they arrive at the scene after I fire my first shots. 5 minutes, 5 classrooms, 1 shot, I got this." So you see, this is not a mass shooting, this is not a massacre, this is not a rampage, this is war against Central VPA for the worst 4 years of my life. What I'm about to do to Central is something I've wanted to do for 5 years. I've wanted to shoot up Central since October 1st of 2017 after seeing what happened in Vegas. What I'm about to do is something that I should have done 5 years ago, but couldn't do because I didn't have access to a gun. But now I have all the firepower, literally. Today is the day I get my revenge. Today is the day of my retribution. Today is the day of the Central VPA High School Massacre. When I'm done, don't say my name, say the names of my victims. After Orlando finished up with this note, he would prepare to do something absolutely awful. First, Orlando would get ready and put on an entire black outfit along with a vest and 20 extra magazines full of ammunition. In total, he had 600 rounds on him and he was ready to cause carnage. Orlando Harris would leave his house probably at around 8:45 a.m. after writing his notes. What's interesting to note here is that in the second to last note that Orlando wrote, he stated he was going to take out his family as well, but he never did that, and I'm unsure if he backed out of that or if they just weren't home. But he also said he was going to light a fire to the house and never did. Regardless, at about 9:02 a.m., Orlando would arrive at the Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. He stayed in his car for about 2 minutes after parking on the curb, probably to hype himself up or something. At about 9:04 a.m., Orlando got out of the car, went to his back seat on the passenger side, and grabbed his rifle. At 9:07 a.m., Orlando then shot out the glass of one of the doors. A security guard named Jermaine was there at the time. Jermaine got up to see what that noise was and immediately realized what was happening. He stepped back and used the wall as cover, and then using his radio, began to call all of the other personnel in the building. Jermaine also tried to look for a place to go, but kinda realized that he had nowhere to go. His reaction here is a bit bizarre, but it's obviously out of pure fear, as you can see him pause again to look at Orlando and see what was happening. Jermaine then, with a sense of confidence, began to walk towards Orlando, who at this point had broken into the school completely. Jermaine started saying, "Hey, hey, hey," and Orlando took a shot at him. Jermaine began running to get out of there while Orlando was coming, and he opened a door and said something but didn't go inside. Jermaine kept running away, meanwhile Orlando had other plans and immediately veered right. It's unclear why Orlando let Jermaine go, but it's believed that Orlando didn't want to waste any time. Also, just a tidbit of information here, there was at least, I believe, 7 other security guards in the building at the time, but I don't think a single one of them were armed. So, what's the point of having a security guard if they're not armed? But Orlando started walking towards the gym, and this is when a woman in purple comes out and Orlando was just a few feet behind her. He fired the gun, but it hit the ceiling above whoever this person was, and it looks like she just continues to walk away without ever looking back. Once again, it's not very clear why Orlando let this woman go, but he did. Meanwhile, Jermaine, the security guard in the other hallway, was still baffled by what he saw. After making a call to the other personnel, I read that the school made an announcement with a code word, which was "Miles Davis is in the building," and that means either an active shooter or an intruder. At about 9:08 a.m. at this point, Orlando has shot a bunch of rounds in the gym and moved to the second floor. I believe the gym is where Orlando's first victim was. Her name was Alexandria Bell, and she was only 15 years old. Alexandria was shot and then she ran away, but unfortunately suffered a lot of blood loss, and that's how she passed away. And it was also stated that while Orlando was in the gym, that he pointed the rifle at a dance teacher but then pointed it away, and that he started having gun malfunctions at this point. When the students noticed this, they all ran away, and I don't think Orlando was prepared for something like that to happen at all. He was very new to having a gun and knew very little about how to work them. Not only this, but when he walked inside the gym, he said everyone is going to die and that he hates this school. But after Orlando left the gym, I believe a different security guard, though it looks very similar to Jermaine, is seen running down a staircase. Immediately, you can see him start running back up because I believe he heard Orlando coming through the door or potentially even saw him. But Orlando would drop a magazine here and reload while he walked up nonchalantly to the second floor, messing with his rifle. Afterwards, Orlando would walk out of the stairwell and down the hallway into a room. This was at about 9:10 a.m. The next minute at 9:11, the police were called. This same time, a female security guard goes walking in the hallway by where Orlando was, and I believe came into contact with him or very close to him. It's hard to see, but she runs away from Orlando, and I believe Orlando could have shot her if he wanted to, but he may have still been dealing with the gun jamming. Orlando then walks back to where he was, and the security guard runs for her life. Orlando starts to walk towards her, but then checks to see if a door is unlocked. It looks like here Orlando tried or shot twice into the room. Afterwards, he continues walking down the hallway, and I think he smiles here. He would continue walking the halls until at about 9:14 a.m., Orlando reached the third floor. About 20 seconds later, he started running back towards the third floor stairs, and this part is kind of humorous given the circumstances. As he's running down the stairs, Orlando falls, and so he gets right back up and then goes back up the stairs. Orlando at 9:17 a.m. would try to get inside room 323, and that was the room of Mrs. Jean Kushka. She was, I read, a physical education teacher and also a health teacher. I believe that this was the health class. Anyway, Orlando got to the door and it was locked, so he shot the lock off and got inside. At this point, Jean had made a bunch of her students jump out the window to make sure they were safe from the gunman, and when Orlando went inside of that classroom, Jean stood in front of the students to protect them and unfortunately lost her life, but she saved a lot of people. Orlando's gun would jam again, and then he went back into the hallway. He started looking around and changed his magazine again. At 9:18 a.m., the fire alarm started to go off, and Orlando is just sitting in the camera's view, wandering around, and he even flicks off the camera. Eventually, he would go inside of room 307 after a couple of minutes, an empty computer lab, and this would be the final place he'd go as police would arrive just a couple of minutes later, and there were a bunch of them. With no hesitation, they knew they needed to stop the threat, and there's body camera footage of what happened, so I'll play that for you now.
Sound like it's on the 3rd floor. Upstairs. Is that what you said?
He said 3rd floor.
Back up! Shock in the lock!
And that was the end of Orlando Harris and his reign of terror. He murdered a total of 2 people, 1 student and 1 teacher, and shot at least 4 other people. Some people got injured by jumping down the windows. Why Orlando did what he did, well, clearly he was very mentally ill. How exactly he got the gun through a private cellar, I'm a bit confused about as well. Typically when going through a private cellar, you have to go to a gun shop and have a transfer done, unless the person selling it to him was negligent in that process. I know that whoever sold it to him did buy the gun legally in 2020, and it was a Palmetto State Armory rifle. They're typically a bit cheaper of a rifle to buy, and I know it was modified in some way, but I'm unsure what exactly was done. How much Orlando bought it for isn't known, but it had to have been only a couple $100 or so, as he wasn't making much money from his job. There definitely should have been some sort of law deeming that if a person who is mentally ill and has been involuntarily committed to a mental hospital and attempted to do away with themselves on several occasions should not be allowed to own a firearm. Apparently, Orlando had seen at least 14 psychiatrists and told 2 of them his plans to shoot up the school, and that makes me question, why didn't those 2 tell the police? They're allowed to break confidentiality if they deem the person to be a threat to themselves or others. Orlando had been involuntarily committed for 96 hours. He was on medicine, though the doctors couldn't force him to take it. He pretended to be better to get out. He was conniving. He knew what he was doing, and he was aware. Why though? What happened in his life for it to be this way? I couldn't figure out anything about his early life or his father or anything of that matter, just the latter years. I do know his mother tried her hardest to get Orlando help. The police were called to their house 6 times in a 2-year period leading up, and she took him to see many psychiatrists and wanted the best for him. However, she had other children to worry about, and that's what she did. Orlando's siblings were afraid of him. They knew he was harboring something evil. They could feel it, especially his brother. I would like to know more about this entire case, and so if you want me to do an FOIA request to potentially get more information, let me know in the comments. However, it's possible that the information given won't be enough or it won't give any answers. We are knowledgeable about the fact that since 2017, Orlando had an evil plan and he fell through with that plan. He admired mass shooters with a passion and wanted to be the next one that killed many people, but he wasn't. In the end, his gun jammed multiple times, and it's not stated if he just had a limp wrist because he didn't know how to shoot it, or if the gun was just crappy. It also appears as if he may have purposefully spared some people, and some people who survived said Orlando looked them in the eyes and just went the other way. Whatever the case may be, Orlando still killed 2 innocent people, and they deserve to be remembered. Alexandria Bell was 15 years old and a sophomore at Central VPA. She was considered to be a joyful and wonderful person with a heart of gold. Alexandria was studying dance in school, and she was a part of the varsity team. She loved dancing. Alexandria had plans of starting culinary school and had so much to look forward to. Her mother came out about a year after this happened in 2023 and said she quit her job in healthcare and started working at a different high school than Central VPA, but that she feels like being near the students makes her feel like she's with her baby, or Alexandria. Jean Kushka was 61 years old, and she was a health and physical education teacher. Jean had met her husband, Steve, while in high school, and they would later go on to have 5 total children. Jean was a lovely lady and a great teacher who was considered to be one of the most selfless people. That clearly shows in the end because she shielded her students from Orlando when he was shooting and made them jump out the windows. Jean was a hero in this situation and deserves to be remembered as such. Rest in peace to both Alexandria and Jean. I hope that one day their families are able to find some peace. But anyways, thank you for watching this episode of High Time Crime. If true crime is your thing, then please like and subscribe because it's all we do. I also have an all-exclusive Patreon if you're interested in that. There's a bunch of tiers to choose from, and the third one allows for you to see a Patreon-only video, and that tier and the second one allow you to have your name at the end of each High Time Crime video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, friend.